mention that too. This is, we're talking about now, we're talking about this building and what we're going to do with this building and how it came about. And it's kind of interesting, I think, as we move forward. Okay. This is the first image that I've seen of Paseo Plunge. Now, I won't tell you, the duck came up with this. That is Paseo Plunge the year it was built. And it didn't have walls around the east side of it, as I had thought. Of course, you can see the apartment house that used to be across the street. It always had walls along the south side and the west side, because that's where the deck was that people used to go up to, sit under umbrellas, slide into the pool. But on the east side, it didn't have those. That was not, this was. Pardon?
Was it at ground level?
It was essentially at ground level, but it's a little higher piece of property than the other thing. So it was looking down a little bit on the apartment across the street. That apartment across the street is no longer there. It was used during the hippie generation as a place for doctors and people who could cure them of their difficulties. And when they finished that, they had to tear it down. So it's the only apartment over there on the other side that's gone. What's that? Maybe so. Okay. Anyway, this talks about the Spanish village, and I want you to notice how much it cost you to go. If you were an adult, it cost you 25 cents. And if you were a child, say, wow, it cost you 15 cents. By the time I was swimming in the pool, it always cost me 35 cents. So, this is what it looked like in about 1952. There was walls all the way around it because they found the kids were going to swim without paying their dues. And it was quite attractive and a nice pool. This is another image of it. You can see how you slide down. This deck is a very important thing about the building because the deck didn't go away when they built all of this. The deck is still out there. And that's what you see when you come up. You came up about halfway, came up on it. That's the deck. And it's still there, and she's sliding off the deck into the pool.
Is that view looking east?
Pardon?
Is that view looking east?
That's me right there.
No.
Let's know if that view is looking east.
Is that looking east?
Yes, it is. This is looking east. This telephone pole is still there. All these telephone lines, electrical lines are still there. They're right along this wall. So you're looking that way. Okay? All right, this is when they're talking about the swimming facilities being added to the Jamboree. This is a really long story. Nobody wants to hear. After you left, you got to start here. But this building was built by Jake. This part was built by Jake Samara and his brother, who was an engineer, concrete engineer. And it all came about because he had a place over on 23rd Street near the state capitol called the Jamboree Club, where Lily St. Cyr and Candy Bar, people like, they used to come and do their thing over there. And look at that. Jack Sussman came to town with his wife, who was a dancer at the Jamboree Club. And he was bored to death because she was dancing and all the guys liked it a lot, but he didn't have anything to do. So he asked Jake if he could start a restaurant in an empty building adjacent to it that Jake owned, called Sussy's. Jake agreed, and anybody remember Sussy's? Wonderful place. First pizza in Oklahoma was at Sussy's. He brought it here. And they had it on 23rd Street. And so Jack was happy, and Jake was happy. Jake still owned it, but it had Jack Sussy's name on it. And he wrote it. Years later, the state decided to take those buildings under eminent domain to build state office buildings. And Jake had an appraisal of $660 grand for it. Thought that was going to be okay. The state has an appraisal of $65,000. But anyway, it's about the same time Jake decided he wanted to do more for the club jamboree. So he bought the swimming pool. 1954, he bought the Paseo Plunge. The idea was that he would have the young ladies who danced at the club jamboree come swim. So he built a place right over here called the Jamboree Surf Club. That's the building, that's what you came through when you came in here. That's why on top of the deck, there's that building. That building was built specifically for the Jamboree Surf Club. And there were big windows there. And the guys could go in those days you had to be a private club in order to have a drink. They could come in there and drink their eyes off, and watch the girls swim from Lily St. Cyr and all that old bunch come over and swim. And they could watch. And that's how that building got built on top of the deck. The part that you see when you come up, that was the Jamboree Surf Club building. We changed it a lot, you'll see, but that's how it got there.
They built the building on top of the deck.
On the deck, on the swimming pool deck, they built a building on the front of it. You'll see in just a minute how that came about. Well, this is what it looked like when I got into it, but we're starting just looking at various pictures. They built this building in this is the story behind that deal. When they thought they were going to get 650,000, well, they didn't. They built a 3-restaurant complex on 36th and Lincoln. This was Sussie's, a steak place, and a fish place. And ultimately, when they finished the battle, they already owned this, they owned that, they spent all kinds of money. The state won an award of $65,000. And Jake thought he was going to get $650,000. And so he had already devoted this thing. We had the polio vaccine issue, came in 57. All swimming pools were closed. Well, he'd been for 3 years doing this for Lily St. Cyr and that bunch. They couldn't let him swim anymore. So he and his brothers decided they would turn this into a pizza place. It was Sussie's was the only pizza place in Oklahoma. So they came in here and they built this building for pizza manufacturing. The basement was lowered, the swimming pool was lowered to 10 feet, and they turned it into a storage place. There was a place to work, a place to go in, a cold place, 34 degrees, and they built a 2,000 square foot space down there that you can see if you want to. 20 degrees below zero. That was unheard of in 1960. 20 degrees below zero. The idea was, on the first floor that they built here, which is 12 and a half feet high, they were going to make all the pizza on the first floor. And the basement, they were going to freeze the pizza, put it in boxes, and deliver it to grocery stores and other places around the state. And this floor was designed to accommodate the vehicles that were going to carry the pizza to those various places. That's the reason you have the ramp up there. The ramp where you can drive up there. And he got all this built. I mean, this, if you look at this building, his brother, John, was a genius. This is all poured in place, pre-stressed concrete structure. I mean, it's indestructible, I think. Indestructible. And this was all built by them to do that job. And they finished the damn thing, and they were ready to go, and they had all these, for years, there were boxes that said Sussie's Pizza on it. Hundreds of boxes said Sussie's Pizza. When they got this just finished, Pizza Hut came to town. Does that break your heart? They got $65,000 for their old buildings. The Pizza Hut came to town for this thing after it was built. And so for years and years, Jake would do various things to keep things going. Jake was a wonderful guy. He'd do various things to keep life going for Jake. He would have all kinds of equipment in here that he would resell. He would periodically open the spaghetti factory downstairs. sell spaghetti. Lots and lots of people, young people up there, that went through there and had parties, and there was a spaghetti factory downstairs on the first floor. Just a whole bunch of things. Am I wearing you out?
No, I was just saying I was one of those
Anyway,
kids.
So that's how the building came about. And these vents up here were just to keep this place sort of cool up here. This is what it looks like on the top. When this was just before I bought it, we'd already taken the awning off. We'd taken out a tree or two. But you can see this roof up here. Well, Jake used to come to work every day with a white shirt and tie into what had been the Jamboree Surf Club room, and that was his office. And he continued to do business until he couldn't walk anymore. He couldn't do anything anymore. He came to work every day. Very, very impressive, kind sort of guy. Anyway, this thing was just covered with holes. He dodged water. Couldn't afford to fix it. This was the bottom of the swimming pool that he turned into 20 degrees below zero. What happened to him there, just to enhance your idea of Jake's good fortune, he put that down there, and they were going to freeze this pizza to 20 degrees below zero. So they built this room down there, designed for it. And when he did it, he turned it on, stayed there for a little while. And what he didn't know is that it was so cold that it would freeze the water underneath the floor. And it froze the water underneath the floor and bellied the floor up with cracks in it, just kind of round floor down in the basement. Well, we were going to fix that about a month ago, 2 months ago. That was this round little floor. So we decided we'd just take that layer of concrete off for another layer of concrete. So I had guys in there with jackhammers taking that concrete off there. And they got it all off. They used the elevator, hauled it up, get it all away. And they called me and said, okay, well, look. I came over and looked. And there's this layer, 4 inches of foam, of insulation foam underneath that concrete. That's frustrating. Take the foam off. That was they took the foam off. They carried it all upstairs and they put it upstairs. 2,000 square feet of foam. Okay? And when they did that, they said, come look at it. So I came look at it. And there's another layer of foam. I said, well, I've gone this far. I can't just leave it like that. Take off that layer of foam. So they took all that layer of foam off, carried it up, put it outside. This huge stack of foam, like they're blue foam. And when they finished taking all of those 2 layers of foam off, 4 inches of concrete, and I look down there and there's another layer of 4 inches of concrete underneath all of that. And I said, you guys go away for a while. So they went away for a while, and then last week they went in and poured a new layer of concrete on top of that. We had gone down 12 inches to get down to the layer of concrete that's there now. And then we poured another layer of concrete on. So if you go down there, it's flat. Okay. Jake was right. That's what it looked like when we took off the layer of concrete. You can see the foam pieces around. See that? That's blue stuff. That's foam. That's the door into it. This was the 20 degree below zero thing. This is what it looks like today with a new floor. I'm just so proud of that.
And it's huge.
Huh?
People don't realize the scale of it until you get down.
It's big. It's 2,000 square feet. That's not small. This is the entry room into that basement. What used to be the swimming pool. There's a room here. There's a room over to the left. There's a big old sump pump here that's utilized to take water away. All kinds of drains and stuff like that. This is the back of the building. This is where they had the big condensers on top of this to cool all those air conditioning units down in the basement. Those were all gone. We took those. They were old, ancient stuff. We threw them away, and we put in new handrails and a staircase. So Because just for the joy of going up on the roof. Actually, we believe we're gonna have condensers on the roof as we do this room, and I wanted to make it easy to service those condensers. That's the reason I had this staircase made for the purpose. This is the door that you get into, and it's the same door
So is that
that you
all
can look at.
that?
See that door over there? That's the door that you're seeing right here. And you can go up there, walk up the stairs and get on the roof. You can see all of Oklahoma City.
So the stairs are back here?
Yes, back there in the corner. See that?
That's that.
Back there. That door right there.
Is that an invitation?
No, it's not. These pictures are just to show you the work that we have yet to do. This was the entrance when we bought the building. This was also the way you used to get into it when you went to the swimming pool, but it was not a door, it was gates. You come in the gates, you give them 35 cents, you give them the additional 10 cents for a swimming suit, you go swim. Well, it was in the wrong place because you came in there and you walked right into the staircase, the same one you came up on, okay? So we moved that. We took out the wall. This was the ladies' room. You like that? Yeah. There used to be able to walk through here. We moved the entrance to this location so that as you could, the one you came in, so that you can walk right into the building instead of going to that sort of thing. They turned it into the men's room. We worked on the electrical. We're fixing all this stuff. I'm just showing you stuff. I could never have figured this one out. This is a grease trap.
Grease trap. Yeah.
Grease trap. But the grease trap goes to a drain over there on the floor. I couldn't figure out, I still haven't figured out any reason why you'd have a grease trap on a drain.
In a restaurant, you separate the grease out from the effluent before it goes into the sewer.
But the restroom was down there, not up here. I don't, well, anyway, I'm sure there's a reason. I just didn't know it. This is a staircase. This was the interior wall that overlooked the swimming pool of the bar. It's right down there. And it's interesting because this is what that roof was like when we bought it. See that? Have you ever seen anything like that? The roof was so bad that they had big containers to catch the water, but then when the containers were overflowed, they made holes in the floor so that it would go down to the first floor where they had drains. Have you ever heard of that? They were wonderful owners. This is all gone. This is all gone. It's all been rebuilt. There's a Juliet balcony here. That's where you saw the young lady when you came up.
That was cool, by the way.
Thank you. We got two young ladies out there. One's an artwork, wonderful artwork, and the other one is a model. I just like to put out for the fun. That wall that they built up was odd, and I'm going to show you. I see all these are braces to keep that wall from falling over. The exterior wall. See this? That's why I built these things back here as I did. Those are solid as rock, and they keep the building, the top of the building, from moving over.